If you want to know more such history, like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. A cold spring morning in 1889 brought a child into the world who would one day stand at the center of one of history's darkest chapters. Adolf Hitler was born in the small Austrian town of Braunau am Inn, far from the power, war, and devastation that would define his legacy. His father, Alois, was a strict customs officer who demanded discipline and obedience. His mother, Clara, was gentle and deeply devoted to her children. Between these two forces, the young boy grew up restless, emotional, and often angry. His childhood was marked by constant moving. Each new town meant new schools, new struggles, and new clashes with authority. He dreamed not of following his father's bureaucratic path, but of becoming an artist, someone who shaped beauty rather than enforced rules. When his father died, Hitler left school, convinced he could pursue his artistic dreams. But in Vienna, the Academy of Fine Arts rejected him twice. His drawings lacked the human form, the emotion, the depth they demanded. Those rejections shattered his ambition. He fell into poverty, living in shelters, selling sketches for a few coins, and wandering the streets of a city filled with political tension and social conflict. Vienna exposed him to harsh realities and dangerous ideas. He absorbed the city's growing anti-Semitism, nationalist fervor, and extremist rhetoric. The young man who once dreamed of art now carried a worldview shaped by resentment, frustration, and prejudice. By 1913, he left Vienna for Germany, seeking a fresh start. But history intervened. In 1914, World War I erupted, and Hitler enlisted in the German army. For the first time, he found belonging. The discipline, the structure, the sense of purpose. These things filled a void inside him. He served as a messenger on the front lines, experiencing gas attacks, artillery fire, and the horrors of trench warfare. The conflict hardened him and fed his belief in sacrifice and struggle. But when Germany lost the war, Hitler, like many soldiers, felt humiliation and betrayal. He embraced the myth that Germany had been undermined from within. This obsession became central to his future political message. After the war, he drifted through Munich, searching for direction. The army assigned him to monitor political groups, and in 1919, he walked into a small meeting of the German Workers' Party. There, in a smoke-filled beer hall, he discovered a new calling. When he spoke, his anger, his passion, his ability to turn resentment into energy, these made him stand out immediately. He joined the party, transforming it into the National Socialist German Workers' Party. He redesigned its symbol, reshaped its message, and built a movement around nationalism, resentment, and promises of restored greatness. Crowds grew. His speeches electrified thousands. Germany, battered by economic collapse and political chaos, listened. In 1923, emboldened by his growing following, he attempted a coup in Munich. It failed. He was arrested and sentenced to prison. But the trial gave him a national platform, and in prison, he wrote the book that outlined his ideology. When he was released, he rebuilt the party with a new strategy, not overthrowing the government by force, but taking it through votes. Germany's economy collapsed again in the early 1930s. Desperation spread across the country. Millions were unemployed, starving, and searching for someone to blame. Hitler promised simple answers, strong leadership, and national revival. In 1933, he was appointed chancellor. Within months, he dismantled democracy, eliminated opponents, and created a one-party dictatorship. The state became an instrument of control. Propaganda spread everywhere. Children were indoctrinated. Critics were silenced. Books, ideas, and freedoms vanished. Then came expansion. Hitler believed Germany needed more territory to survive. He rearmed the nation, marched troops into the Rhineland, annexed Austria, and seized Czechoslovakia. Europe watched, fearful and divided. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, igniting World War II. The early victories were swift and overwhelming. Nations fell in weeks. By 1941, Hitler controlled most of Europe. But his decision to invade the Soviet Union turned the tide. The harsh winter, fierce resistance, and massive losses crippled his armies. As the war dragged on, Germany faced growing defeats. The devastation he unleashed across Europe spread back toward Berlin. Cities were bombed, armies destroyed, and millions suffered unimaginable loss. In 1944, the Allies landed in France, pushing from the west, while Soviet forces advanced from the east. The noose tightened around the regime he built. In his final months, Hitler retreated into an underground bunker beneath Berlin. The leader who once commanded vast armies now lived in darkness, surrounded by collapsing walls and collapsing hope. Reports of betrayal, defeat, and destruction consumed him. His world was shrinking, and the empire he created was burning around him. As Soviet forces reached the capital, he realized the end had arrived. In April 1945, he ended his life, leaving behind ruins, chaos, and one of the darkest legacies in human history. When the war finally ended, Europe was scarred by destruction on a scale the world had never seen. The dictatorship he built was gone. His ideology was exposed as catastrophic. The world emerged determined to prevent such horrors from ever happening again. Hitler's rise and fall remains a stark reminder of how resentment, fear, and unchecked power can transform a single individual into a symbol of devastation. His story endures not as a celebration, but as a warning of the dangers that emerge when hatred becomes a political weapon and when absolute power replaces humanity.